Hello and welcome to the New Age Geek channel. If you're new here, we'll build an inclusive space for people of all walks of life through the power of friendship and tabletop role-playing games. Tonight we have Investigation Check, our regular interview show in which we interview the geeky creators you want to know about. Tonight, oh my god, I freaking didn't get up my notes.
Oh no!
So close.
That's a moon and a half.
Oh my god. All right, tonight we have fellow, well, not fellow because I don't do improv. We have an improv interviewer and AP performer, owner of the Not Quite Novelists, and a witch who does it herself, Savannah from Not Quite Novelists. How are you doing tonight, Savannah? It's a pleasure to have you on.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. I'm so excited to be here. I'm having a great time already. We've just gotten started.
Don't worry, I'll ruin it. All right.
Yeah. I doubt it.
All right, so Savannah, what do you want me to play? Savannah, I should have asked this before we started. Savannah, is that okay?
Savannah, Sav, Savvy, whatever. A lot of people will come up with a nickname. If you can, I had one person call me V for a while.
It's
that
the
was
first
fun.
thing that popped in my head.
Yeah, I had, because it went from Savannah to Vanna to Van and then V.
Yep.
And I had V as a nickname for like 3 years, so I'm like, if you can come up with a nickname that you take out of Savannah, I'll probably answer to it.
Okay. All right, well, let's dive in tonight. Are you ready to get started?
Do it.
First
I'm
and
ready.
foremost,
Let's do this.
first, let's back up. Hold up. Pump the brakes. Bring it back. Where can everyone find you? What are you doing?
Yes, my name is Savannah. I am, or whatever nickname you can think of for me. And I am the host of Not Quite Novelists, which is the show where new friends are made, literally, and new worlds are built live and on the spot each and every episode. It's a character creation channel, and I stream every Sunday. Sometimes I stream on Tuesdays, where I'm just kind of like yapping and I'm doing crafts and other fun hobbies. But if you want to see more like weird art and witchcraft, then you want to go follow me on Instagram as the DIY Witch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then.
It's a lot of things. I do a lot of things. So.
I love it. I can't wait to talk about them all. Are you ready to dive into tonight's episode?
Let's do this.
Okay. I need
ready.
you to get into the time machine. Take me back. And I'm going to go, let's see. I'm guessing 4 pounds, 9 ounce, little baby Savannah, fresh out the womb, coming out there just into the world. What is what?
I actually know the exact pounds and ounces, and that's so funny.
What is it? Well, how close is I?
7-Eleven, actually.
Nice. All right. I was way off, but I was 10 pounds, 8 ounces, so it's all head.
I only remember it because I think 7-Eleven is a great number. So
not because of the convenience store?
Yeah, I love Slurpees so much. It's a problem.
All right, take me back. What was your first introduction into geekdom? Was it a show? Was it a book? What kind of really brought you down the path?
My introduction into geekdom was being born to my parents.
Okay.
They are, both of them are pretty nerdy and geeky in their own way. My dad's been really into, like Star Wars all his life, all my life. My first introduction into, I would say, anything like geeky, specifically like my thing is I love anything fantasy.
Okay.
It would be, I have had the movie Labyrinth memorized since I was 2. I have a big poster of Labyrinth on my wall that you can't see over here that maybe I can show you real quick. There it is. My boy.
Nice.
I love him. I love that movie so much. It's to this day it is my favorite movie of all time. It was very much like the babysitting movie. If my mom wanted to keep me entertained, she just put that on and then go do whatever she needs to do. And then when I was 6 ish is when the Lord of the Rings movies were coming out, and then also my mom started reading Harry Potter to me.
Okay.
So I kind of all my life has been surrounding fantasy and anything that we would classify as geeky nerdy, but it's specifically anything magic.
Yeah.
Anything magic-y related. Yeah.
What do you remember? What was it? I mean, this is a question you may not know the answer to. What was it about Labyrinth specifically that kind of tickled that young Savannah's brain electrons?
Other than Jareth being my other than Jareth being my first ever fictional crush, I the music, absolutely, the music was great. It was just something about, like, I still will every now and again just put the music on, like, while I'm like driving. That's my like road trip soundtrack, is I'll
Mhm.
pop the soundtrack in there. Um Also just like the visuals, like you can't get over how good Jim Henson puppetry is.
Right.
Um I've always been drawn to anything fae or fairy related.
Okay.
Um that is actually, there's an interesting question that my dad asked me a while ago, because the DIY witch, I truly live up to that name. I've been practicing witchcraft for about 7.5, 8 years now.
Hmm.
Um, and one day my dad called me and asked, like, "Hey, weird question. Take your time to answer it. Which is, do you think you being a witch was brought on by your love of fantasy, or do you think you've always been drawn to fantasy because this is a lifestyle that you?" Basically, he was asking like which came first,
Yeah.
you know. And I kind of think it was a mix of both. But I truly think, like, if there is any kind of mystical like powers that be, if there is a higher something, they definitely put things like labyrinth and fantasy into my life to lead me into the scope that I'm at now, the life that I'm at now. But
Hmm.
yeah, anything, I've always loved anything fae, fairy related specifically, just because I like a weird little guy, I like. And almost every fae that you see in fiction or in stories is gonna be a weird little guy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What do you think when you kind of like what kind of drew you into like Lord of the Rings? Was it just that it was the popular thing at the time that kind of delved into fantasy, or do you feel like there's something about the
Yeah.
way those stories are presented and told that kind of hooked you in?
There's something I started watching Lord of the Rings when I was like a kid.
Yeah.
So at the time it was mostly just, oh, look, it's fantasy, magic, and pretty people and cute little hobbits and things. And as I kind of grew older and I like really started trying to understand why I love these stories and why I'm drawn to them so much, um there is something so beautiful to me about the hobbits being like the ones who are like the ring bearers, because it's it's so like it's so nice to like hold on to innocence and hold on to like joy and wonder and find things to like smile about and laugh about in the face of things like war and devastation and anarchy and everything else. So in the face of darkness, having that like pure of heart kind of story, I love. I love hobbits so much, and it's because of that.
Okay. So what kind of comes next then for you in your tale? Like, are you uh when do you kind of get introduced into Dungeons and Dragons or kind of tabletop games? What's the evolution from you being a small child kind of consuming these fantasy genre things into taking a seat at the table?
Oof. So to bring it all the way back, I've always also played like I always play make believe. I always like, I like playing pretend. Me and my cousins used to like, play make believe and pretend to be like Harry Potter characters. Or I remember one time we played like make believe like newscasters. Where we even got like a foam core poster board and drew like a weather map on there, and like one of us was a sportscaster, and me and my cousin Blake wrote like headlines to be like the anchors of the show. I think we made my mom record it at one point. Yeah. So I've always like loved to like play make believe and play pretend. And then I learned what I learned what roleplay was like over writing. Before I even knew what before I even knew like the word RP or the word roleplay. And I've told this story on my own channel before, which I love. This is I learned how to roleplay on a flip phone when I was about 11. Because I was writing like full like fan fiction using T9 spelling on this like flip phone with my friend.
7777.
Yeah, exactly. I got real good at it too. I remember I got real fast at it, and then like one day I was like doing this, like writing this story, and I was like at the dinner table, and my mom was like, "Hey, no phones at the table." I I made eye contact with her, put my phone below the table, and kept going. And I could text without looking.
I don't know what it
Uh,
is about T9. Like you can do that
yeah,
without like not looking
yeah.
behind your back. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's wild. Like you
It's
can't do that
I
on
also like
modern phones.
yeah, well, also because like you had like actual like push buttons, you know, you had like actual buttons that you
Yeah.
could feel for, whereas like on an iPhone you just have to go muscle memory and hope that autocorrect knows what you're talking about, you know. Um, Now how that all ended up leading up to me playing D&D, well, for a long time I didn't know what D&D was.
Right.
I had never even heard of it until I was, you know, an adult. But I love doing like RPs, and it went from like doing it over text to then I discovered the internet. And I was on DeviantArt where I would make like RP channels where or like accounts where I would like pretend to be characters, which then transferred to me doing that on Tumblr and briefly on Twitter, but it was mostly Tumblr.
Mm-hmm.
And then just doing it over like private messages, like me and like one friend would be like, "Hey, let's make these characters together. Let's write this story." And then we did. Um and so in terms of TTRPGs, I had never heard of D&D, or like I didn't know what it was until like Stranger Things.
Okay.
I had heard the name. Obviously, I'm a big like emo kid, so like My Chemical Romance is my favorite band. So you know the intro to I'm Not Okay is you like D&D, Audrey. Yeah. So I knew the name.
Yeah.
I did not know what it was. I had assumed, okay, it's a game, but I thought that there was like a set story. I didn't realize that there was like whole world building aspects. I didn't
Uh-huh.
know that there was like, you know, you could create. I didn't know any of that. And then when I started learning what it was, I was still a little bit put off by it because I was like, okay, well, that's too much. I thought the math and the rules aspect of the game was going to be a little bit limiting or like constricting creatively. And then about uh 4 years ago, I believe, my now housemate, my friend and her partner were helping me move, and I noticed that he had this like tattoo on his arm of like a dragon or something.
Okay.
It was a really sick tattoo, and I was like, "Hey, that's really cool. Like, can I get a look at it?" Pulls up his sleeve, and there's like dice on it too, and it was a whole thing, and I was like, "What is that?" And at this point, I had seen Stranger Things. I fully kind of had a closer kind of understanding of the game. And he was like, "Oh, I'm a DM. I play D&D. It's like a whole thing." He's super into it. While he's like building my furniture for me, he's like describing what this game is
Yeah.
and what he does. I was like, "Okay, wait, this sounds sick as hell. This sounds really cool. Like what?" And and then me and my housemate, we used to work together, and
Okay.
so she quit, I quit, we both kind of like went off. Lo and behold, I was looking for a job one day, and I hear, "Hey, stranger," and I look up, and she's there,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, hey." I didn't end up getting that job, but I did end up getting an invite to a game night,
Okay.
and they were hosting game nights, and I showed up just thinking like, oh, it'll be fun to just like hang out, even if I'm not like playing the game, I'll just like watch or whatever. Um, they were playing some kind of like dungeon crawl game, and it was fun. And so, um, Z, her partner with the dragon tattoo, he gave me a big hug and was like, "Hey, come back. We do this every weekend." So next weekend I showed up, and turns out they're playing D&D, and I was not supposed to be in the game. I was supposed to. I was literally there to be like their IRL Twitch chat. Like I was there to like hang out, eat their snacks.
Yeah.
And at this point, I knew a lot more about D&D because at this point had listened to. I think I was like for the first time I was listening to like Fantasy High
Okay.
by yeah. So I was like starting to listen to like Dimension 20, and I because I really like Brennan Lee Mulligan. Um so I was getting a little bit more of a concept. So I showed up to this game night, and as they're setting up, Z comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, last session the party found this giant lizard. Do you want to play the giant lizard? So it turned into 3 hours of just me going like that was it. Super fun. I had a great time. My very first roll of this very first D&D session that I had ever played was a natural 1.
That tracks. It's either a natural 20 or a natural 1.
Well, so the funniest part about this was that I was playing a wild animal, right? I was this big lizard, and someone, one of the other players was basically saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to." They named the lizard Squishy, so I was Squishy.
Yep.
So they're like, "I'm gonna go up to Squishy and like with like a snack and try and feed him, right?" And so Z was like, "All right, animal handling and I guess roll insight." So rolled insight. I got a nat 1. He got a nat 20 on animal handling, and so it was just like, oh, instant besties. Like, no sense of self-preservation from this wild animal. You have food, so you're my best friend now. Yeah. It was great.
Yeah,
it was so fun.
That sounds about right for D&D.
Yeah. And it fully sold me. It was so fun. And then a couple months later, a different friend of mine asked me to join in their campaign, and so I joined my first campaign in 2023. It was in like July of 2023. So yeah.
You remember what your first character was?
Yes, and because I love her, and we're technically on like hiatus, but it's been a few months. But it's because the DM was working 2 jobs and in school, and yeah, it was like, damn girl. But her name is Halen, and she is a tiefling, but she is half gnome, so she's actually 2.5 feet tall. But her horns are 6 inches, so she's totally 3 feet tall. And she is a warlock with an archfey patron. I have so much lore on her, and I love her to death. Her whole thing was that when she was born, she looked like a normal gnome.
Yeah.
And her birth parents made a deal with a fae to trade their firstborn child, and so she ended up getting at the same time, a different gnomish couple came to that same fairy wanting a child and making a different deal. And so this fae was like, well, I have this gnome baby, here you go.
Here you go.
Yeah, pretty much exactly what happened. And but then as she got older, she started growing horns and turning purple, and her adoptive parents freaked out, and because I love making a sad bitch character. I love a traumatic backstory. They were actually super like religious, and they like had stepped outside of their religion to make this deal with this fae. So they like lost their mind. They called her like a demon, a devil, all that, and they like kicked her out. So she was essentially homeless from the time she was like, equivalent of like 13. But she's been on this quest to try and find her birth parents. She ended up at some point stumbling into the Feywild and meeting Queen Titania, who took like kind of soft spot for her, and gave her this little purple like toy magic wand, and said, "This will help you find your father." And told her that her father is where she gets her tiefling side from, and gave her the wand and said, "I'll help you." And essentially, it wasn't until like halfway through the campaign that I realized, and the party in character also realized, it was never discussed what Titania gets in return for this pact.
Okay. That's usually a big part of the deal.
Yeah. So someone in the party made a joke that it was like, what did you just like enlist in the Fae army or something? And so now Halen, because in character, I did make it work narratively. It wasn't just me being a dumbass because I was being a dumbass, but in character, Halen had made the deal when she was relatively very young. And so, she also wouldn't have questioned it. She heard, oh, you can help me find my dad. I'm gonna find my parents. And so she was like, fuck it, yeah, I'll make a deal. So now she was able to like get in contact with Titania and say, what are you getting out of this? Like, you
BT
haven't
dubs.
asked me for anything in return. Yeah, it's just like, what? You haven't asked me for anything in return. What is this deal that you've made? And essentially, yes, she did just enlist in the Fae Army.
Sick.
Okay. It was just Titania was like, I like you, I have a soft spot for you, and essentially, like, I wanted to bestow you with this ability, and in order for me to do that, let's just say if ever like I should need help, I expect you to come and help. And
Okay.
that's kind of it. And I was like, and honestly, like it's interesting because I love playing warlocks. They're really interesting to me.
Right.
The idea of like, because it can be any nature of deal. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be something demonic or sinister. Um, and so Halen actually has an actually good relationship with her patron. Like she does, she likes Titania. She finds some like maternal comfort from her, and Titania does like Halen and genuinely wants to like help her. So yeah, and right before we hit our hiatus, the very last session that we had before we had to take a break, she did end up finding her father and having a good conversation
Oh,
with him. Yeah.
Harley, I love you. No, I'm not throwing you toilet paper right now. So
I've been looking in the background and I see a dog moving. I'm like, ah, animal. I love
she's
it.
always around. So I want to kind of ask you this.
Yeah.
So you've created your first character and you kind of like other characters since then, and the way from what you've described seems like this kind of theme is held on. And from the little bit I know of your character in Castleton, how much do you think that like core value you got from Labyrinth, the holding on to innocence, has kind of influenced the way you create characters now? Do you see that being something that just always shows up, or is it something that you have to be like, nope, I need to put this aside, I want to play something different?
Um, so it depends on what I'm creating the character. If I'm doing something that is just like a text RP kind of thing, that comes really natural to me, and it's not necessarily I don't have to like act anything because I'm just writing.
Mm,
I'll make a jaded character. I'll make an asshole. I'll make someone who like doesn't really see any. I'll make someone who is completely different.
mm,
When it comes to TTRPGs, I really do love playing someone who is um, maybe they have some baggage or they do have like the tragic backstory. But I do love playing like someone who is innocent or someone who is at their core a net good.
mm-hmm,
They value being kind and they value um holding on to or being a light in times of just absolute chaos and darkness.
right.
And that's what I tried to do with Fallon is like Fallon in Castleton was a very um she had a lot of baggage. There was a lot of complicated things that were happening to her and around her, but at her core, she was a very simple person. All she wanted was her family and she wanted the man that she was in love with. And that's she didn't see anything wrong with just wanting to just have her family and live her life and have a simple life. So yeah,
What
that's all she
is it
wanted.
about that innocence aspect that you find yourself turning to? Is it just a comfort zone, or is it something that you like a story beat you really enjoy being able to express?
I think I like it as a reminder of like when the world is in a dumpster fire, right? When the world seems like it is in absolute chaos, when you
What
don't
are you talking
see
about?
things but when you only see darkness or chaos or the bad. If it is very hard to see the good, you can choose to be the good. You can choose to be that light. That's a big point of like why I do Not Quite Novelist is because like I just want for a couple of hours to just take some time to make silly little characters on the internet with my friends because that's all I've ever wanted to do. Just make silly little characters online with my friends. And yeah, so it's just this like it's this idea of choosing choosing to have fun or being able to like see that fun and light and happiness is still within grasp.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing about like Lord of the Rings specifically is like Merry and Pippin were always my favorite characters because even in the midst of all of the shit that they were going through, they still took some time to go and like smoke and have a snack, you know?
Have second breakfast.
Yeah, exactly. And like, yeah, sometimes you just need a moment to take a breath and just have some fun and just be silly and find a reason to laugh, find a reason to smile.
Do you see yourself drawn into telling a darker story through roleplay, or like not necessarily text-based, because obviously that's just essentially writing with a friend.
Yeah.
Like being able to express that darker story, do you find yourself wanting to do something like that, or is it something you intentionally stay away from?
No, it's not intentional. I haven't been in the like public in the like, RP like game space
Hmm.
for that long. I literally maybe like a year ago is when I joined here. And so I'm very new to it. Um so people haven't seen all of the characters that I can create yet.
Hmm.
I would tell a darker story, but I think right now I'm still drawn to the idea of like innocent characters because I myself as a person am so new to the space that
Yeah,
it's more fun to just play a buffoon who doesn't know what they're doing
yeah.
and who's completely thrown into something that is so
Yeah.
overwhelming and out of their depth
What's the expression? Mirroring reality or something like that?
oh yeah, art imitates life
Yeah.
or life imitates art.
Yeah.
It's both for me at this
Yeah.
point, yeah. There's a lot of like self-exploration with Fallon of like, oh, there's a lot of parallels going on in between our experiences. So,
Okay, so let's move forward a little bit in the timeline here. And I
yeah,
know we've spoken about it a little bit already, but your first actual play kind of experience, that would be obviously, as is with most people, as you've said, Castleton. Talk to me about what that
yeah.
process was like for you.
Oh boy. So, speaking of my like witchcraft life, a lot of weird like good timing and coincidences. Like, I can't really call them coincidences. Like good. Sometimes I'll just say a thing and then the thing is in front of me. And that kind of happened with Castleton. I posted on Threads one day. Does anyone know of any Bridgerton themed actual plays, or maybe like a Bridgerton like game I can try and play? Like I was super into Bridgerton. I'm always into D&D. I wanted to know if there was like a Regency type actual play. And like the next day or 2 days later, my friend tagged me
Yeah,
in AJ's post.
that's
And
fucking wild.
yeah. The cool thing about that too is there is also another kind of layer of fun timing with that is a while before that I was like scrolling through like Instagram and I saw this reel that was this funny scene from this actual play that I thought was cool and it was one of those things where I accidentally like closed out so I lost the reel and I was like, "Oh, I can't find it now."
No.
And yeah, so like I couldn't remember what the name of the channel was. Couldn't remember like what the name of the I couldn't even remember the name of the characters. I
Yeah,
just remembered like
a funny
this
D&D
one red
scene.
yeah, I just remembered it was a funny D&D scene. This redhead chick was DMing and doing a cool voice and I was like, "Okay, I guess when it comes back to me, it'll be like when it's time." And so then I signed up for Castleton. I talked to AJ. She got me in the Discord. And one day I was like, well, I'm caught up on all of my actual plays I'm listening to now. I guess I'll go find hers and kind of see like what's her DM style, what
Yeah.
am I getting my into. And that scene happened and I was like, that's the channel! I lost it. I was like I was so excited. And I was like, she's the one. Ah! Such a fangirl moment for me. It was so cool. And I was so excited. Yeah, it ended up being from Chronicles of Aelwyn, and
Okay.
I got so hooked. I've listened to Chronicles of Aelwyn. It's such a fun story. The world building in it is great. So I was like, okay, she knows how to she can do homebrew really well. Like, I love this world that she's making. I'm really interested to see how she's gonna do this like Bridgerton Hunger Games thing.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I told you this before we started, but like when I first joined Castleton, I was very early
Yeah.
in the creation of it. I joined the Discord when there was maybe 50, 60 people. And that alone was already overwhelming. That I was like, I saw that and immediately was like, what have I done? I had a moment of like, I shouldn't be here. Like, how, what? I've made a mistake.
Just Sheldon in the
I
corner. I'm nervous. I'm nervous.
literally how I felt. I was like, oh, oh no. And then more people kept joining and more people kept joining and more people that I was a fan of, more
Right.
people that I really like their content. A lot of people that I did not know. Um, I think everyone I saw who I knew before Castleton who was in it ended up like having scheduling things and had to drop or had to leave before it even started. So I was like, oh, I'm on my own. There was like
Oh
maybe
no.
one friend. Yeah, there was like maybe like one friend I had before Castleton that was actually in the game.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I just have to like talk to people. I just have to make friends, I guess. And I did. I mean, it is easy for me to just jump in and like make friends. It
Mhm.
was harder when we got closer to starting because I started realizing, oh, this isn't just a Discord where I get to like be geeky and talk about making characters. I actually have to play D&D with these people that I like will are part of my regular doom scrolling. Like that's
Yeah.
I'm so nervous. And I like you can hear in the first episode that I show up in, I did not have this good of a camera. I did not have the setup I have now. My microphone was horrible. But you can hear in that first scene that I was in where I just and you can hear my breath like shaking. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
that wasn't a character choice. That was just me. I was just really
Wow, she
scared
is
and
such a
really
good
nervous.
actress.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And actually, I see Wartorn Knight is in chat right now. He was in that first session,
Oh yeah.
um, and I that was my first time meeting him, but he was really cool. And immediately I was like, yay, I have a friend now. Like that was
Buddy.
yeah, exactly. At that point, I like, I had talked to people in the Discord like for a few months now. It had been
Yeah.
a while before like actual start time. So I had like established a kind of friend group here. Like I had started being like, okay, these are my people.
Yeah.
It was just that first like, oh, now I have to be in character and like have dice with me, and I'm like, I'm gonna freak out, yeah. But yeah, no, Matt Matt was like the first person that I like spoke to in character in session, and I was like, oh, thank God, I have someone to
Yeah.
talk to.
Let me ask you
That's kind of
this.
it.
What was that character? I do want to get move forward
Yeah,
past this, but I want to
yeah,
ask
yeah.
this real quick. What was that like, that initial kind of like setup where you have 50, 100 people in the server, and it's like, I need to kind of figure out who my character is, because I have enough trouble when it's fucking 5 people figuring out who my character is. Because like, what can I
Yeah.
do? Like, how do I figure out what my place in this party? 100 people. What was that like for you to figure out what your place was in this story?
Yeah. Well, so AJ did character creation really interestingly. She basically pulled us all into like one-on-one sessions.
Okay.
So we didn't like some people would be like, "Oh, I want to connect with, these people." Some people would like have their pockets where they talked,
Yeah.
outside of the server and then went to AJ and said like, "Hey, I want to connect with this player and have these like backgrounds or these connections." But for me, I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any like connections. I knew that there were some parameters I wanted to play. I knew that at that point I was most familiar with playing warlocks with an archfey patron, so I knew that like mechanically that's what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Um, I knew that I had to play something that was fey or fairy coded, whether I looked like a fey or I had something fairy-ish. Um, and I had a general idea of what I wanted to do. I wanted to focus on the Bridgerton aspect of things. I wanted to be like, I'm a sucker for ships. I'm a sucker for the romance story. So I knew I wanted to tell some kind of love story. And I went to AJ and I said, okay, here's my concept. I want to play a warlock. I want my patron to be my parent because I like the idea of like if I were to do a fantasy Bridgerton, I would want magic to be kind of like my allowance or dowry, whatever it is, like the money that I would be given
Yeah.
from my parent kind of thing. So I think the idea of like a warlock whose magic comes from their parent and like they have to find like a suitable match that is not necessarily for love, but it is for like the family name or for legacy or whatever. Um so if I had like a suitable match, then I would get to keep my power, keep my magic kind of thing.
Okay.
And when I came to AJ with this idea, she said, "Okay, well then let's make you a demigod, and we'll say that your parent is like a god, right? And
Uh-huh.
we'll say that you get your thing from them." I knew I wanted to be like, okay, what if like I was in love before, and the reason I'm in the games now, like I don't want to be there. The reason I'm in the games now is because this like relationship I was in was like this scandal, or it was like it was something that had to be like ended. Mom or dad didn't approve, and so now I'm being forced into the matching games to find a suitable match, an acceptable match for the family. And she said, okay, let's make your parent the god of fame and folklore. And as a demigod, let's say your purview is fables. And I was like, okay, cool. And I told her, I was like, okay, I know I gave you the concept of give me like a past lover. Um, I don't want you to tell me anything else. I want to be surprised. So if you want this person to be like still alive and maybe you find a player to, play this past lover, go for it. If you want it to be like this person actually like because I said the reason they've ended is because I think my past lover is dead. And so I told her I was like if they're actually dead, cool. If they're alive, cool. Don't tell me anything. And that's what she did. She didn't say anything. The story dad, the guy who plays Valveris, Fallon's lover, is he was barely even like active in the Discord. Like I don't remember seeing like his name
Yeah.
pop up in the Discord a lot. Um and then episode 3 happened and he was like revealed. And I think the first message I think the first thing I ever said to this guy was, "Motherfucker, you better survive this." I think I DM'd him at that like reveal moment and I was like I was like, "You better survive. We're in this now. Like, let's go." Yeah. It was great. I had no idea. And then he literally we became like perfectly matched
Yeah.
for like we were so in sync through the rest of Castleton. He has been like my rock through that whole experience.
That's awesome.
So it was great.
That's
Yeah.
awesome having such like just those are
Yeah.
role plays amazing.
It was yeah. It was he's so good and like in and out of character, like in character, Fallon found all of her comfort in like being next to Valverde. I think since like that first initial reveal,
Yeah.
we only had like maybe one scene where it was not us in the same scene together. Like since then, up until that moment, it was just
Yeah.
it was me and him in every session. And so like we had like rituals like before the session, we would jump on video chat while getting ready. We would like okay, let's like get our wiggles out. I pulled a tarot card before each time. It was fun. Yeah, it was really cool. We were in sync the whole time.
That's awesome.
It was great.
That is I'll give Castleton its credit. Like I think the connections that have come out of that game have been revolutionary on this space. Like it has changed the dynamic of APs in the space tremendously.
I fully agree. I've said it before like to AJ's face is like Castleton there is no way for me to like overstate this. Castleton fundamentally changed my entire life. It changed the trajectory of everything for me.
Yeah.
In the best way possible.
Right.
So, yeah.
So talk to me. Tell me what has kind of come out of now that Castleton's over. You've been on a few shows. You've been on New Age Geeks with Goodberry Cafe. Which show exactly were you on? Because I forget.
Yeah. I was in Hometown Holiday, which
Hometown
was
Holiday, right?
so much fun, by the way.
Let's-
I still talk about that. That was a blast. Yeah.
So you've been out there now, kind of doing these things
Yeah.
post Castleton. What has that experience been like for you? How have you been going out and like joining these channels?
Yeah. I mean, the fact that I've been able to like do interviews and stuff like this, I've interviewed on a couple channels now. Like I've done this. I've been on Classic Sam NYGM. I love her to death. I've been on her channel like 3 times, I think. Two for actual interviews. One for it was her birthday stream, and I was only supposed to be on for like an hour, but I was on there for 4.5 hours.
Yep, that makes sense.
She was doing like an 8 hour like all day birthday stream,
Uh-huh.
and she meant to end the Video Ninja call, and it just didn't end. And me and the other people that were there looked over and we're like, "Are we still on? Oh shit! Okay, we're still on. None of us are going to hang up. You're stuck with us. Like, you have to kick us off of your stream. We're not leaving." Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So
But yeah,
talk
I've
to me. How has
done.
that kind of been for you?
It's been so much fun. It's been like I have a whole like kind of studio set up now.
Hmm.
Like I got a new computer last year for my birthday. I got a new camera. I have like a whole like audio thing over here. Um but I've been like I did a horror story with Cloud Kill Connor, which was a lot of fun. It was supernatural inspired,
Nice.
where I played a ghost hunter named Penelope. She had some baggage, but that was fun. Yeah, talk about a darker character. I think she was it. Yeah. She's my first little toe dip into doing some darker stuff on here. But also able to do like Hometown Holiday and other fun little like one shots. Um it's just been a blast to just this is all I've ever wanted to do is just play make believe and make silly little characters online with my friends, you know? Like that's I've been doing it forever and now I get to do it in front of an audience.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. Yeah. I love it.
So at what point do we kind of start Not Quite Novelists? I know you've kind of played all the games now, and now
Yeah.
you've got your own interview show. First off, tell everyone
Yeah.
about Not Quite Novelists and what the premise is for the shows you produce.
Yes. So the tagline for Not Quite Novelists is it's the show where new friends are made, literally, and new worlds are built live on the spot each and every episode. So essentially, what it is that every episode, every Sunday, it's Sundays at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I will have a guest come on my show, and I have where are they? I have these 2 teacups, and they're filled with sheets of paper. And one of them is for themes, which are more like the theme is going to be more character based. So it's going to be like aliens or um, clowns or cowboys or vampires or whatever, right? And then tone and tone are going to be more like either genre or setting. So it'll be Western or in space, under the sea. I think I have one in there that's just rom com or sitcom. One in there that says mockumentary, which I have done a mockumentary episode. So much fun. And essentially, it is a randomly generated. I'll just draw one out at random each episode, and me and that guest will just like we'll start building the world. We'll start making our characters, and we just it's those I like to say when you're in a game or when you're telling a story, especially if you're improving and you're doing plot, those are the yes and statements. For me, I like the ooh, what if statements. I like the ooh, what if this world had a goddess of jelly beans? Or what if my character was telepathic, but only to turtles? You know, things like that. It's like random, weird, but it's that like open space of like complete creativity and complete like inspiration. And yeah, and we spend about 2 hours just making up the world, doing some character creation, and then the next week it's going to be a brand new set of prompts. It's going to be a brand new guest, and we do it all over again. So yeah, it actually started a few years before I got into D&D at all. I had this idea for a podcast where I just create like new characters and stuff every episode. And I came up with the idea for the name Not Quite Novelist because I was talking to a friend of mine about how like I know I can make good characters. I know I'm a good writer. I know I can like tell really interesting stories and create these like very three-dimensional, well-rounded characters. Um, but I don't have the mental capacity and follow through to actually write a book. And that's something my dad always been like, Savannah, if you want to be a writer, you have to go write something. You have to go and make something, right?
Right.
And he would tell me, you're not going to make anything out of these little role plays or making these little characters on with people on the internet.
Uh-huh.
And so when I told him the idea for this concept, and I told him in passing, it was just like an idea that I was like, oh yeah, I thought this would be kind of cute, but we've had like I've had that so many times where I've just been like, oh, I had this idea for a podcast or I had this idea for a show, whatever. But when I told him this idea, he got really serious.
Yeah.
And he went, Savannah Rain? And I was like, oh shit, he broke out the middle name and I was
middle
like,
name
oh,
me, Dad.
yeah. Yeah, he was like, Savannah Rain, this is the best fucking idea you've ever had.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like that was a moment that like
Yeah.
solidified it
Yeah.
for me. And I was like, okay. And for a while, I mean, like I had life, you know, shit got busy. I was just working and I didn't really have time to like really dive into like making a show or doing anything like that. And then I moved, I had like some medical stuff go on and like there was just my life got really hectic and crazy. And then I think it was 2023 I decided, okay, I actually want to like really get serious and get into like doing this. And I started like getting a team. I had one of my friends going to be like my co-host. I had a guy who was, you know, he heard all of these people like heard this idea, thought it was really cool, wanted to help somehow. I had a guy say he would do my editing. I had like all sorts of people joining me on this, and so we got started doing some pre-recorded stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone on the team either they got busy or, you know, adult life got in the way. And I was still like, I had a very clear, very specific vision, and I was so determined. I was like, I'm gonna make this shit happen. And I unfortunately do not have the mental bandwidth to go back and edit pre-recorded videos.
That's why everything's live on this channel. Trust me, I get it.
I have a backlog now, still to this day, of episodes that I recorded like a year ago, like before I joined Castleton.
Yeah.
And but then Castleton happened, and then I got busy because I was working with this and doing all these things, and then during the season break of Castleton, I went to PAX Unplugged, and that I think was a very pivotal moment for me. Was PAX Unplugged was a moment that like opened my eyes to so many things. It gave me ideas. I got to meet new people. I got to meet so many of these friends that I made from Castleton in person. Like I got to be like, shit, you have legs. Like that's cool.
I see your waist.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god, what? Like I can see below your shoulders. Yeah, it's insane. And yeah, so I just being there and being in this space full of just all these like needy, nerdy, geeky people was so cool. And it was at PAX that I had the really like eye-opening moment of I need to just make something. I just need to put my content out there. I cannot worry about all of these little nitpicky details while I'm editing. Just get in front of your fucking camera and do it. And it was because of that I was like, I'm going to start streaming it. I'm going to put it on Twitch.
Nice.
And by February 9th was my launch date for NotQuiteNovelists on Twitch.
That's
and
fantastic.
I do have some episodes that are like from the pre-recording, and I do still have plans to actually release the episodes that were pre-recorded.
Right.
If and when I have the spoons to release them, I'm gonna do a kind of from the vault type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it is gonna happen at some point. I have some that can be released. I just need to figure out scheduling and how I'm gonna make that happen. But PAX Unplugged really like hit the nail in the head of like I've never been more to just create, and now I have this like huge cache of people that I can just choose from and be like, hey, I like your character on
I need a
Castleton. Let's be friends.
buddy.
Yeah, and now I'm literally I am booked all the way for guests. I
That's so
could
awesome.
book through 2026 if I
Yeah,
wanted to.
right.
You know, it's insane. It's mind blowing.
And you just hit affiliate, right?
I just hit Twitch
That's
affiliate.
so
Yeah,
awesome.
we had
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you very much. I hit Twitch affiliate, and actually, Classic Sam, who has I've been on her channel so many times. She was actually scheduled to be a guest on my show, and like a couple of days before that, I hit affiliate, and so we decided, okay, we're gonna do a normal episode, but let's like. I had the idea it would be silly for us to like wear little party hats and be like, oh yeah, we're celebrating that I hit affiliate. She went all out. She like went out and got like balloons to put in her background that say congrats. She got a little light that made it look like a light show was going on. It was insane, and I
That's
was like,
awesome.
well, I gotta step it up. So I
Yeah.
drew a new I hand draw all my like overlays and everything.
Oh,
So
no
I drew a
shit.
new one wearing yes, yeah. Oh,
That's
that's another thing.
wild.
Um, so I chose content creation on hard mode myself.
Yeah.
So all of the promotional posts that you see from me, everything that you see that is all of my overlays, um, they are all hand drawn.
Wow.
I do use my iPad. I use my iPad and Procreate, but yeah, everything is like I choose brushes that are like look like pencil and stuff. Um, my whole like aesthetic is like it looks like a kid's notebook in
Right,
school.
right.
Um,
Yeah,
and I have a
I've seen
new
your show,
overlay
so
every
it's so good.
yeah. Well, so if you notice then, I
Yeah.
have like in the margin a bunch of little doodles.
Uh-huh.
It's a new overlay every week
I didn't notice
because
that. Like, because
yeah,
I just don't notice things. That's
yeah.
awesome.
Well, every episode, what I'll do is like, okay, so for example, this past episode I did, or the episode I did with Sam, it was punk under the sea. So we made these like punk sea creatures, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so for this past episode, I added a new doodle, which is a little turtle with a green mohawk. So every doodle is like in
Influenced by the
reference to
last
the previous episode.
that's
Yeah.
so
So
good.
I still have to draw the
Yeah.
doodle for this next episode that's going to be in reference to the last one. But yeah, so I have a new overlay every week. Um, all of my like promotional posts you see, I'll just drop in a photo of my guest and then I'll doodle and draw all of my things there. Yeah,
That's so
I
fucking
live
cool.
up to the DIY
I
name
love that.
when yeah, the DIY witch is there's a reason I'm called that is because I really try and live up to that name every day. I do everything myself. I try.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that just shocked me. I'm like, oh, look, I gotta
Yeah.
rewind it. That was so awesome. That's so cool.
Thank you.
Um,
I'm proud of that fact actually. I'm proud that that's something I do.
I
It was just
wanna ask, like,
yeah.
we're getting ready to wrap up here. What kind of what do you want out of this channel? Like, what is I know you currently how many shows do you currently produce? Just before I get on a tangent.
Currently I only produce Not Quite
Okay,
Novelists.
like
I would love to come up with more, but right now all of my love and energy is going into Not Quite Novelists. If I can get myself to I'm not quite in a good like flow state where I can constantly feel like I'm caught up.
yeah,
I
you'll
still
never
am
get there.
like
Don't worry.
yeah.
Been doing this
I'm
3 years.
like
You'll never get there.
Sunday morning. I'm like I didn't draw my overlay. I got to do that real yeah. So it's
um,
yeah.
let me ask you this then. What is kind of your hope for what the channel will become? And
Yeah.
your channel's just what is your channel called, real quick?
My channel is called Not Quite Novelists.
It
So
is
it's
under the same name as the main show.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, so everything is under Not Quite Novelists right now. Yeah.
So what do you hope the NQN brand kind of becomes?
I just want it to be like a space of creativity. I would love to see like um the audience like come into chat or comment on like YouTube where it's like they make their own characters to fit the world, and I would love to see like you know I say I draw my own stuff. I'm really not an artist. I can do doodles, and that's the max
It's
for
more
me.
than I can
But
do,
I
so
would
don't
love
worry.
to see I would love to see like artists come through and like, find inspiration in the worlds that we build and maybe draw their own stuff, or writers come up with their own stories because they like the characters that we wrote and things like that. Like I just want to create nothing but a space of like inspiration.
Hmm.
I'd love to do like little mini games.
Yeah.
Like I would love to be able to like go to like conventions and maybe like walk around and find like other creators and be like, "Hey, give me this character," or like come up with a character based on Under the Sea. Go, like things like that. Like I know there's an actual like thing called the Story Engine deck. I want to get my hands on that and like play like little games like by myself where I'm solo making these like worlds off of
Hmm.
things like that. I have so many ideas
Yeah.
for stuff that I want to do and stuff that I want to bring to that NQN can bring to the table. And it is nothing but just having a space of pure creativity and like that raw, just it's nothing but like inspiration. So yeah, I actually like a weird little thing that I did a couple years ago, and now I've started doing almost everywhere I go. Anytime I go to like an artist fair or a convention or anything, I play a game called Drawing Mad Libs.
Okay.
Um, where I think it's on the DIY Witch Instagram. But basically, I'll go to like, I'll go through like Artist Alley. I did this at Fan Expo a couple years ago. I went through Artist Alley, walked up to one table, and I said, "Hey, give me a noun." And then I went to a different table and I said, "Give me an adjective." And then I went to a different table and I said, "Give me a verb." And then I ran away. I drew the thing based on those three words. And then I ran back to the tables and I showed them what I drew.
That's wild.
And so I love doing stuff like that
Yeah.
because like when you get these random words and you mash them together, you can create stuff. And yeah, I want to be able to do stuff like that. Like for like maybe do like a vlog style video like that where I
Mm.
do little like series. I've got so many like things written in my like brainstorm notebook that I have that I'm just like I don't know when I'm gonna have the time to do all of them, but I'm gonna do all of them.
Oh,
One of my biggest like
you froze. Are you
sorry,
back?
what? Oh no, I'm back. Am I back?
I don't know.
Oh,
Okay, you're back.
okay, cool. So yeah, I one of my like biggest like dreams, one of my biggest goals now because originally the idea was birthed before TTRPGs, and then the TTRPG community really were like, that little gremlin over there, you're one of us now.
Yeah,
That's
just Shanghai the shit out of you.
I got forcefully adopted by the TTRPG community like real hard. It was so funny. And yeah, so I would love one day to be able to have like an actual play creator come onto my channel. We come up with like, a world and stories and stuff based on these random prompts. And then I want to like turn around and go play like a one shot based in that world
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something. I think having like that kind of collab would be so fun for me. Like that's the
I
kind of
love that.
dream I would love to have. Yeah.
We'll talk after. We'll talk after the stream.
I, I love that like I can see the little wheels turning. Yeah.
I've already told you, I'm not a good person.
Me dropping hints to every actual play creator that I know. Like that's this is
Um,
something I want to do. Yeah.
Here I am just gobbling up new AP creators. Like, let's just do everything together.
Obviously.
Anyways, so
Yeah.
I love that. I love the idea. First off, NQN, public broadcasting channel. Let's
Yeah.
just fits in perfectly. That aside,
Yeah. Thank you.
so do you see your channel being more of like creative story? I don't think storytelling is the best way to put that. Creative expression or creative storytelling?
A bit of both, but
Yeah.
I think like definitely creative expression. I think what it does is I want it to be something that opens the doors to storytelling. Like I want it to
Uh-huh.
be like creative storytelling comes from a place of inspiration. It comes from a place of like creativity. And there are some times where I will fully like like the episode will turn into us like making a full-on plot
Yeah.
for these characters, like character arcs instead of like world building. But that's just the nature of the thing. Once you have a character that like if you think you can create a well-rounded character in 5 minutes, which I feel like sometimes I can, the next natural step is to tell a story,
Right.
is to say, okay, what's the journey that they're on? What's the story that they're telling? And so I primarily, I think NQN is the space for creative expression, but in a way that it is opening the doors for anyone to take it and start telling stories with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the goal anyway.
I love
That's
that.
the dream. Yeah.
Okay. We are getting to the end here, so I'm going to switch over
Oh,
to
boy.
my last few questions.
Let's do it.
All right. Are there any dream projects or collaborations that you kind of love to pursue in the future?
I have a list of uh like I said, I am booked for like several months. There's so many people that I like want to bring onto my show.
Yeah.
And can feasibly, realistically bring onto my show because we're friends or because we're, in some form of contact. But I have a separate list of dream guests.
Yeah.
They're like my manifestation guests. And it's gonna be people like Brennan Lee Mulligan,
Right.
Apriya Iyengar. For me, it is anyone and everyone from Legends of Evantris. I love that channel to death. Legends of Evantris was I discovered them when I was in the hospital for some like surgery issues that I was in, and I was like, I need something to watch. I'd been seeing these shorts, and I fell in love with them, and I binged all of Once Upon a Witchlight, which is their like funny campaign with like all of the most chaotic thing I've ever seen. And then I went through and I binged their horror campaign, Edge of Midnight. I backed their starter kit. I have been obsessed with them ever since. And so if I somehow manage to get any of them on my show, I think at that point I'll just be like, I've peaked. Like I think that's just gonna be the highlight of my life. I would love to see something like that happen. But I have like a whole list of like, these are my manifestation guests on my show. Yeah.
So Mikey is kind of like one of the people who helped get like, that's being very generous into the word help. Mikey talked to me when I started this channel and was like part of the group that helped us get started. So I've spoken to him a few times now, and he's just so awesome.
I'm friends with a couple on Discord because I joined the Discord and joined the community before the Crooked Moon, and they started breaking records and doing all this crazy shit. And not that they were a small channel when I found them, but they were definitely smaller. And Richie was the person who helped me find my very first webcam, which is the camera that I was using in that first part of Castleton. So yeah, I still have it. It's in one of my little shelves over there. He's nice as hell. I think I still have a screenshot somewhere of, because I made some fan art, like on the DIY Witch. There's a lot of weird art and witchcraft. The weird art is I sculpt little doodads with polymer clay, and I made a 3D version of a dumb doodle that Mikey did in one of their episodes. And they saw that post, and then they followed me on Instagram, and I think I screenshot that, and I still have it somewhere like in my phone, and I want to frame it because I remember the true fangirl soul when I saw Legends of Evantris follows Instagram.
So hold on, Savannah. I'm gonna yell at you real quick here. So these people already follow you. Yeah. You've spoken to them. They know who you are. Why are you not being like, so this is a long shot. I'm going to put it out there in the universe to you guys.
I did. I met them at PAX Unplugged.
Yep.
And I talked to Andy and I pitched my show. And then after PAX Unplugged, I messaged each of them individually on Discord. And I am just waiting for a response at this point.
All right, that tracks.
That's about it. It's just, I assume that they are busy and they got shit going on. They're still on the manifestation list, but I assume that they're busy, and I'm just waiting. But I have pitched it, and Andy did say he liked the idea.
We were going to fight there for a second. All right.
And I remember that specifically. I had a moment at PAX 2, which was so cool because I was talking about like, you know, doing fan art and stuff, and I pulled up the picture of the little thing that I had sculpted. And Andy straight up was like, "Oh, of course I know who you are." And I was like, "Oh shit." Yeah, that was my moment of, huh?
Pineapples.
What do you mean? Yeah, exactly. Someone get me out of here. Yeah. And then I ended up like hanging out with them that last night at PAX.
Yeah.
Like until 3 a.m. It got like we got chaotic. It was so fun. And they're just the coolest people. They're nice and they're
Yeah.
awesome and they know who I am, which is weird. So yeah, they're still on the manifestation list,
All
but it's
right.
only because like I want to manifest them having a break in their schedule for them to come and make characters with
Just
me for 2 hours.
come on to my so small
I'm
channel.
begging.
Please come
Yes,
to join.
literally.
Come
Please,
join us,
please come
plebeians
hang.
at the bottom.
Yeah, I'm so close to 100 followers on Twitch now too. I'm like, please come hang out with me with my 90. I'm
Hold
begging.
on. Hold on. If you're a
I'm
new age
very
geek,
excited.
if you're a new age geek, and let's get out here and fucking support our own. Go follow Savannah, please, on everything she's doing because she's an amazing human being and she deserves a following.
Ah,
You're watching
yeah.
this on YouTube because there's only 4 people in the chat right now, but go on
the
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 channel.
the crazy thing, so when I had the like Twitch affiliate like party
Yeah.
stream with Sam, I set a goal for myself, which was if I can get 5 subscribers, then I'm gonna commission my friend to make channel emotes for me.
Nice.
One of my friends donated 5 subs,
Yeah.
and then immediately after, like 5 or 6 other people subscribed, so I doubled my goal.
That's awesome.
In one night, and straight up I was like, at one point I just got up and walked away. I just got up and I fully left my room because I did not know what to do with myself at that point. I was
That's
so
the one
excited.
thing I'll say about like the geek community is like we really look out for each other.
Truly,
in
yeah.
a way like
It's
you don't see a lot of other places.
yeah.
Like I feel like a lot of the
You
people's
have
like
those
clout.
moments.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you have those moments of like, like you're just shouting at each other, being like, "Get loved, nerds!" Like that's. The thing I've noticed is like, yeah, exactly. The thing I've noticed specifically in like geek space and in these like nerd spaces, very specifically in the TTRPG community, is we are aggressively supportive of each other. Like we'll bully each other with love.
Yeah.
I remember being in the Castleton like cast Discord and having a moment of like very imposter syndrome of feeling like because it was like feeling like I got invited to the cool kids table, you know? And I made a comment about that, and like 5 people immediately start like typing in all caps, being like, "You have just as much of a place here as you. Like, you're one of the cool kids now. Damn it!" I was like, "Okay, I'm sorry."
I love myself, I swear.
Yeah, it's the same as like you just now being like, "Hold on." And like, it's that we are so supportive and kind and nice to each other, but like in the meanest way possible. We just like
hey,
yell at each other.
You're gonna love yourself whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Oh man, Eric at Somebody's Heroes has made it a habit of there's an account on Instagram called Success Juice.
Yeah.
And what they do is they'll put like AC/DC music in the background, like this like metal music in the background, and then go like choo choo motherfucker, you're a freight train, and it was like that, and it's so funny. Or like, yeah, just like good fucking morning, we're ready to get this day. Like it's just so aggro, and I get these messages at like 5 in.
Eric doesn't sleep. I've determined that. Eric just doesn't sleep.
No.
I had him on the show too, and it was just like he's just talking for an hour, and I'm just like remember the old like was it the Dolby picture for the guy just in the chair? That's what it was like for an hour talking to Eric.
He's so cool. I love him to death. He's so great. But yeah, he has got. He's just. I'm convinced he's a robot because he's like, he's always working. He's got the best ideas. He's always getting at it. And now I'm waking up to these like really motivated like videos, and I'm like, all right, I guess I gotta like get up and do something now.
I don't know why, but
Damn.
I'm motivated.
Yeah, it's like I'm ready to go. It's so funny. I love it. We're a very the TTRPG community is aggressive, but like I really like it.
All right,
It's like, yep.
Savannah. Oh, I'll stretch it out. Last question.
Let's do this.
Oh,
Stretch.
all right.
Got
Oh,
it.
crack the
All
neck,
right.
crack the neck.
Yep.
For all the
Yep.
tiki talks. All right. So, Savannah, what message or impact do you hope to leave through your content on the geek space?
Be cringy.
Okay.
Be cringy. Do the shit that makes you happy. Do the things that are going to like be that little bit of light. You know, if you life is going to look like a dumpster fire sometimes, right? And I want to be the space where for a couple of hours a week, especially on a Sunday when you got those like Sunday scaries, you're like I don't want to go to work on Monday morning. I want to be a space of just let's just be silly and make silly little characters on the internet. Like, let's just take a minute to create a space to be happy and create a space to find joy and silliness and fun in the world. And I I just want to be a space where not necessarily people can escape from reality, but where people can realize that like, you know, silliness and happiness still exists in reality.
Mhm.
I want to be the Hobbit friend. That's that's all I want to be.
Bringing it back to the start, just that
That's all I wanna do.
innocence, that innocence,
Yep.
that core
Yep.
value for Savannah.
Yeah.
You've all seen it, and you know now.
Like even if I'm telling like a even if we are like, you know, making characters that might be darker or making like building a world that might be like a Vampire the Masquerade or like a world that is going to be a dark, you know, setting for
Yeah.
stories. The process of doing it, the process of like actually creating these things is the light. It's the creative process is the reason that we do art in the first place, right?
Mhm.
Like I don't make art for the final product. I make art for the joy of the process of making the art.
I love that. That's amazing.
Thank
Savannah,
you.
thank you so much. This has been an amazing interview. It's been amazing getting to learn all the geeky details about you.
Thank you.
That's all I've got for you. So we're going to open up the chat to all the viewer questions. Any questions you guys might have for Savannah, go ahead and put those in the chat. While those come in, though, we're going to switch over to our dicey questions segment. These are 20 random
Fun.
questions determined by a D20 roll. Savannah, go ahead and roll me that D20.
All right. I'm bringing out a set that I have not actually used before.
Yeah,
so...
show off this dice. Where's this dice
Oh my
from?
gosh.
Give us
It's
the
so
D
pretty.
for the dice goblins.
Genuinely cannot remember the brand. Let's focus. There we go. It's green and it's got pink sparkles in it. I bought it for a character that I have yet to play.
That tracks.
Yep. But it's green, it's got the pink and like kind of peachy honestly it matches what I'm doing right now, which is kind of why I chose it.
Okay.
There is a local dice shop in the city that I live in that like I've learned if I buy dice from any of the other local game shops, they don't roll as well.
Bastards.
So I can't cheat on this. I can't cheat on this shop. I have to buy my dice from this particular store every time. Because otherwise my dice get mad at me.
So I gotta before you even roll, stop. Put the dice down. I have a question. How many dice sets do you own?
Ooh, let's find out.
Oh my god.
Hold on.
Already too much. If the answer's not one, it's already too much.
No, okay. So I hold on. Now I got a thing for you. Were you the heathen that was on Table Talk talking about how you only have one set of dice?
Yes.
I remember listening to that episode and going, "What is this psychopath talking about? What do you mean you buy a new set of dice and you get rid of the other one?"
Gotta torture the other ones.
Wait, do you mean like you actually? Do you mean like you toss it, like throw it in the trash, or do you not like do you donate it or give it?
Nope, it gets thrown away.
Insane.
There can only be one.
You don't
it's Highlander rules.
You don't like gift it to someone else or let like somebody else get a use out of it?
So I had
Insane.
a DM recently gift me a set of dice.
Okay.
I had to throw out my $100 set of dice because there can only be
Why
one.
would you? No, that is
Highlander rules.
yeah.
So it goes.
I remember listening to this on Table Talk and just having to take a moment to like turn my headphones off. And like I was at work because I listen to podcasts while I'm working, and I had to take a moment of just
this motherfucker. He did not.
yeah. I was like, and this was after we scheduled to do this interview. I was like,
I don't know if
I'm
you do
gonna
it.
have a word. I need to talking about like, yelling at people for a minute. What the fuck?
I'm canceling the interview. You
That's
can't talk
insane.
to him. He's
Yeah,
crazy.
like we can't be friends. This is I'm leaving. No, okay, so I do have many sets of dice.
Well, it's all right. You're wrong, but okay, continue.
So the first character that I ever made, Halen, that I described, the DM worked at a ceramics studio, and for Christmas made us all these little dice jails.
Nice.
These are the dice inside. These are my Halen dice.
Okay. They're very pretty.
And they are very pretty. And I didn't have anywhere to put them, so I put them in here, even though that they were it was a dice jail.
Mm-hmm.
But the first roll that I made since letting them live in here was a nat 20. So, yep, I love him.
Okay.
He's not a dice jail; he's a dice home.
Love it.
So that's him.
Just
And then I
safe.
also have this.
Jesus Christ.
This is not even that bad. I have seen some dice orders. You should see downstairs where my housemate's dice are, because she's been playing D&D for a lot longer than I have. I will show off one set though, because it is my favorite set from Smoking Glue Guns, because we love Whitney. Love her to death. She made me a custom set of dice inspired by Fallon from Castleton.
That's amazing.
Let me show
That's
it.
awesome.
Yep. The 20 is a little glue gun.
Okay.
I am absolutely obsessed. They are purple and gold, and they are so beautifully, perfectly Fallon. I love this set of dice so much. A lot of the sets that I have here have either been gifted to me, or they've either been gifted to me, or they were like, you know, a set that I got as like a freebie or something like that. Some of them though I bought specifically as like, so for me, when I make a new character, I get a new set of dice. And that's, so I am very particular. I don't just like buy sets willy-nilly. I'm intentional about it, and I'm like, I'll buy like one set. If I had just one set per character, I'd be happy.
Mm-hmm.
I just ended up getting gifted a lot more sets. So now I have to make characters based on the sets that I have before I can go out and buy more.
All right. I vibe with that. I'll give that one a little credit. You gotta make the characters based off the sets.
Yeah, exactly. It helps me figure dice rehab. Yeah. So I got 1, 2, 15, 16, 17 just in this case, and then 8. It makes this one.
It sounds like 17 too many sets of dice.
I think you're a madman. I think you're absolutely an insane. Like, to not even like donate it to a secondhand shop, or like find some set, be like,
I've been thinking of setting up
energy out of my house.
Like, I'm thinking of setting up a permanent installation in my yard where I can burn these in a funeral pyre-esque situation.
No, that's insane.
Just give them to the old gods.
You were gonna have people with torches and pitchforks at your door if you do that. Like, that's
I told you, I'm not a good person.
Insane. Yeah, the fact that like I love that I had completely forgotten about that. Me how many times I was like, no, wait a minute, you're the motherfucker. You're the one who said that. Yeah. Insane.
All right.
Absolute.
Give me a D20 roll on one of the way too many sets you have.
This beautiful set that I have yet to play. Let's go. That's a 2.
Okay. What is your favorite franchise? This can be among any genre or anything. And what do you think is the most overrated franchise?
Ooh. Oh boy. Now are we talking specifically like just in like movies and TV or
Get
just
crazy with any way you want to answer this. Like,
oh
is it easier if I give you something specific, or do you want to be open?
no. I'll think about it. Okay, so my favorite franchise, and this is solely just because, I grew up with it, so there's a nostalgia factor. And also it's one of those like you can't go wrong with the classics. It's Lord of the Rings. It's
Okay.
anything Tolkien. I personally, I know there's a lot of like some people love it, some people hate it. The show Rings of Power, loved it. I thought it was amazing. Um, I will always watch. I have a box set of the like extended edition of the Lord of the Rings, which is the box set that my dad had for years. But when he got a Blu-ray player, so it's the set that like I was introduced to Lord of the Rings with. It looks like it's been around for about 20 years, which it has. But my dad, when he got like a Blu-ray player and he kind of upgraded, he gifted that set to me for Christmas one year, and I cherish it to death. Um, I just anything Lord of the Rings, anything Tolkien. It's one of those you cannot go wrong with like this like Godfather of fantasy
Yeah.
kind of energy. Most overrated franchise. I'm gonna say talking a lot about like loving stories about like innocence and darkness. Weirdly enough, I'm also a big horror movie fan.
Okay.
So like I do like a lot of I'm sorry, a motorcycle just drove by outside. That was very loud. I'm so sorry if you guys heard that. So that threw me off for a moment. I do like a lot of horror movies. But I would say any of the like big like slasher movies that have become like so iconic. Like there are some Halloween movies I really I do like some. I've only seen one Friday the 13th movie, and I've only seen one Nightmare on Elm Street movie. But any of those ones that have been like they're on like this horror movie name number 72 or something
Right.
like that. I think if you're gonna do horror and you're gonna do it right, and you don't want it to get cartoonish or like if you don't want it to get sloppy, make it a trilogy, end it there. Do
Mhm.
not do anything more than that. Unless you want it to just look like you're making something cartoony, Like I personally really love the Paranormal Activity. I think
I
they're
do
great.
too. I do too.
Anything beyond the third movie
Yeah.
though,
Too much.
I think they're pushing it.
Yeah.
I think it's too much. Yeah. They're doing too much. Honestly, same with like any other. I'm also not the biggest fan of slashers in general, but like, I think if you're gonna do horror and you're gonna do it right, and you want to make more than just one standalone movie, trilogy or nothing.
Yeah.
Like, otherwise, it just makes it look like a cash grab to me.
Yeah.
So
That's fair.
yeah, that's about it.
I've never seen the Saw movies because I just have no desire to like
Yeah.
see that sort of thing.
Yeah, I saw the first one in high school, and I was just like, I am really not interested in gore porn. Like,
Yeah.
I'm really not.
Yeah.
It's just,
I've seen enough of that
it's,
in my real life that I don't need to be a part of. I don't need to be
yeah,
a part of that in my cinema.
yeah. To me, it's like there's no point, Like, but there are some, like, that I think are really fun. To
Right.
me, like, the Scream movies
Uh-huh.
are really fun. But I think that's because the first one is cartoonish enough.
Yeah.
The first one is a parody of itself.
Right.
And so, like, you're fine to make a whole franchise out of Scream because you
You're
already
already
kind of made it
parodying
silly
it.
in
Yeah.
it.
You're already
Yeah, and
parodying the
so
genre that it's like you
yeah,
can
because
only
it's
do that more.
there's so much like meta commentary
Right.
on the horror slasher movie genre in the first movie
Yeah.
that it's like, yeah, the point of this is supposed to be let's make more, let's keep going and make this genre as silly and overdone as possible.
Yeah. I can
But
see
in
that.
terms of like, I think the concept of like Halloween, I think the concept of Friday the 13th, of Nightmare on Elm Street, the concepts and the originals of these franchises are really good. Once you start doing the same movie over and over again for 20 years, it becomes less good and becomes way more over.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Give me another D20 roll. And again, if you have questions
Yeah.
for Savannah, go ahead and get them posted in the chat while we go through this, and we'll get to all those questions as they come in.
That is a 6.
Okay. Simple question. Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Why?
I know more about it.
Okay.
Um,
Fair.
I'm not the biggest superhero person in general. Um, there's not a ton of like I said, I am if I had the choice between like fantasy or sci-fi or any kind of if I had the choice of genre to watch like Desert Island, it's gonna be like high. Um, so I haven't ever really gravitated towards superheroes,
Mm,
but all of the superheroes that I have gravitated towards have been the Marvel.
okay.
I've always loved Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man is I think my favorite superhero of all time because he's very like I love a very straightforward give me a good guy and a bad guy, you
Yeah.
know? Like that's very simple, but I also like I've seen enough people try and make like a dark and gritty serious Batman that I'm like pick a new person, pick a new character.
Okay.
I have seen enough Jokers in the world. You know what I
Fair.
mean? I don't need to see it again. I did like the MCU. I kind of get lost around people doing the whole um like a multiverse kind of situation. I don't need a super big cosmic crazy multiverse multi-dimensional shit going on.
Uh-huh.
If it's a superhero, just give me a good guy and a bad guy punching each other. In the MCU, I think my favorite character is Bucky Barnes.
Okay.
And not just because I have a massive crush on Sebastian Stan.
Fair.
Um, I think the one story in Marvel where they did do like multiverse type things correctly was actually the Across the Spider-Verse and Into the Spider-Verse. I think the only way you can do a multiverse well is to animate it.
Uh,
Um, that's my opinion, and
yeah.
I think the Spider-Verse movies did that perfect.
Yeah.
You know, um, but yeah, it's gotta be Marvel. I know more about them. I did do like a 3 month long movie marathon of all the MCU movies leading up to I think Infinity War. My old partner and a couple of friends like every couple of nights would get together. We'd watch like one or two in order, and we did that all the way leading up to going to the.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it was fun. I
Yeah.
liked it, but yeah, but I'm always gonna like things like Captain America. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn or
Yeah.
kid from Queens or whatever, and then Spider-Man being friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. But
Yeah.
that kind of story, it kind of brings it back to just simplicity and
Yeah.
like being a simple character in a very not simple situation is just fun.
Yeah.
It's just really good story to me. Fun thing
Okay.
to do.
Give me one last dice roll, then we're gonna wrap up for tonight.
One more. I should have gotten a different die every time to this. So I should have like chosen a different. That's a 15.
Okay. Roll again because we've already entered this. Your favorite genre. So we've already established that that's fantasy.
I like fantasy.
Multiple times.
That's another 2. Hold on, one more time. Try it again. 16.
Okay. This is an in-depth question. What is your zombie survival apocalypse plan?
Okay, so
This either goes two ways. I don't have one. I'm going to die in the first week. 2, stand by.
Okay.
Let me get my charts out.
There's 2 possible options for me, right? First one is I take myself out because there's no way I'm surviving on. Like that's, I'm gonna chill with a bottle of Jack Daniels and zombie nap. You know, like that's. I don't think I'm gonna survive if I'm by myself. However, if my sister's around, I feel like I have a better chance of survival.
Okay.
If my sister is, and like she's moving close, she doesn't live very close to me now, but she's like closer, and I'm very happy about that because we've talked about like what would happen if we're in a zombie situation together. Mostly it's gonna be like I feel like we'd be able to survive with each other for at least a little longer than like the week and a half, right? But we do have a contingency plan of if one of us gets bitten,
Okay.
which is specifically at first the like at first our plan was going to be like, okay, if one of us gets bitten, then the living one just keeps the other one as like a zombie pet, like zombie guard dog kind of situation. But then we scrapped that idea, and now it's okay. If, like, let's say if my sister gets bitten, then I have to wait until she turns into a zombie and then let her bite me. And then that way we can just both wander around as zombies together. That's the whole thing, is like, we could make it, but if this happens and if shit goes sideways, which it probably will, then we just have to be zombie sisters together. I can't get bitten by a zombie that's not her if she's already. That's the
It gives me
whole.
so much anxiety. It's my nightmare.
Yeah, for the most part, like there's not a real like plan in terms of actual survival. I just know she and I were. Listen. I run an improv channel. I do everything. Have you learned nothing from the fact that my channel is all about learning what we're doing on the spot? Like that's
flying by the seat of
my
my
whole
pants.
platform is no planning. Yeah, my whole platform is based on the fact that we don't know what's going to happen.
Just
till it
ADHD
happens.
coded. It's like, I don't have a plan going into this.
1,000% what it is like I wanted to draw slips of paper out of a teacup and then let our ADHD demons take over the world. Like that's the goal. So like there's not really a plan for the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
I just know if she was there, we'd be able to figure it out a little bit easier. But you know, if and when things go wrong, I at least know how I'm gonna go out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Got a plan for the end. That's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's punching my card? This.
Yeah, exactly. I have the end game and about that's
all right.
insane.
That is gonna bring us to the end of tonight's interview with that fucking declaration. A
wild way to end the story.
we started from hope and inspiration to I'm gonna let my sister bite me and call it a day.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. I think the hope there is like at least we get to be together. You know what I mean? At least I'm with my family in the end. That's
a little bit, just a little bit of hope.
Yes, I'm so glad someone in chat said ADHD is great. You can have that for. Please spread that around. Let's make ADHD a thing. That'd also be a fun channel name. Sorry.
That's good. That is a good channel name. All right, Savannah, go ahead and give us the plugs. Everything you're on, everything people can catch you at. Where are you going to be next?
Yes. You can find me every Sunday at twitch.tv/NotQuiteNovelists. 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This Sunday, I'm having Wes, Arcane Anthems, as my guest, and I am so stoked for that one. That's gonna be so fun. You can find me there. You can also find me on Instagram at NotQuiteNovelists, where I'm gonna post all of my like updates on who's coming up, who's gonna be my next guest. I'm gonna try and start getting some like fun little clips and reels out there for it. And if you want to talk about weird art and witchcraft, you can find me at the DIY Witch on Instagram and Threads, technically Blue Sky too, but I like always forget that I have that, so I don't really post on that often. In terms of projects I am going to be on a few. I don't know how much has been publicly talked about yet, so I don't want to spoil anything just yet. But if you go follow on all my socials, as soon as I can, all of the info will be shared and yapped about forever. So, yeah,
awesome.
That's me.
All right. That is going to bring us to the end of this interview, Savannah. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. This has been amazing.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
I don't have anything else. I've got nothing else for you, Savannah. If you've got nothing for me, stick around for the raid. And remember, we love you, geeks. Good night.